This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. It is Thursday. We have just 3 games to talk about on tonight's main slate, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Toronto and Cleveland. Kicking us off there, we have 2 9 p.m. games, Atlanta, Utah, Indiana, Phoenix, the 2 late slate games. Had some predictable injury news that came through. If you watched our preview show, we pretty much guessed and nailed all of the expected back-to-back guys that would be sitting on this slate here. So Grande has your playbook out with sort of those expectations put into the playbook before they were all officially ruled out, as it was anyways. Grande, man, 3 games. Got kind of a fun little slate we got.
Yeah, I like it a ton. I'm ready. Let's go. I love it.
Well, Siakam, Mitchell, Booker, your top 3 price guys, up over $9,000. Booker, 93, is your number 1 price point guard here, I guess. Obviously, Mitchell's at shooting guard only. So are you spending up for Book, or are we kind of going down into the mid-tier at point guard today?
Yeah, it's a really good position. I would say probably just the best position of the day in terms of top to bottomness to it. I think Devin Booker looks great. I think, obviously Andrew Nembhard is a very good defender. Aaron Nesmith, very good individual defenders. They have not been good defensively this year. 23rd in defensive rating, and it's a big pace up spot for Booker and Phoenix. Indiana's 9th in pace. Devin Booker is a monster usage rate player with Jalen Green and Mark Williams off the floor. It's 34% rounding up, 1.3 fantasy points per minute. So I do like myself some Devin Booker tonight. It is the second leg of a back-to-back for what it's worth, but I definitely think if you have the funds to get to Devin Booker, it feels very good getting there.
When it kind of comes to the rest of this position, it's Cleveland and Atlanta are your top 2 own guys basically for the entire slate today, given all the main pieces that are ruled out on both of those teams. So Daniels at $7,300 currently is your second highest rostered point guard. He's only slightly above Booker, but obviously a $2,000 discount on him. When you consider Daniels, Keontae George, Emmanuel Quickley, and Andrew Nembhard as sort of the 4 in that next price group, how would you rank them out?
It's hard to rank them because they're all very similar. They're all good usage players. Quickley, not so much. Daniels, not so much. Like George and Nembhard are the 2 usage guys there. But everyone's basically over a fantasy point per minute. Obviously, Daniels down 2 starters here and has dominated the basketball, him and Jalen Johnson. So I'm good with it. It's obviously an elite spot as well. I don't think he has as much upside as the others. With Keontae specifically, the last game was what it was. The foul trouble was very unprecedented, right? He had 4 fouls in the first 3 fouls in the first quarter, 4 fouls in the first half, 5 fouls 2 minutes into the second half. Like, chalk it up, throw it out, move on. I was just kind of wondering what his ownership would be. This isn't particularly a fun spot. Atlanta's actually 5th in defense this year. They're the 5th rated defense. They have 2 elite defensive guards in Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but I don't hate Keontae in tournaments. That I was just kind of waiting for the ownership. It's not high, 18%, around 19%. Yeah. So I think Keontae looks good in tournaments. Quickly, the usage has been up and down. I did look, and we talked about like how he only finished for 32 minutes last game. He did lose almost 2 minutes at the end of that game. They took all the starters off the floor. So that's something to consider. Probably would be 34 plus minutes in 3 straight games.
He's the lowest of the 4 right now in terms of ownership. He's only around 10% right now.
And I think it's largely because they are fully healthy. And we've talked about Toronto a bunch. Like, even during this stretch, he had a game where he had a sub 20% usage rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just made up for it in other areas of the game, which he has been very good at. He's averaging over this 4-game span, double-digit rebound opportunities and 11 assist opportunities. So, that's a really good combination of things.
The 3-point volume stands out for me. 7 or more threes in 4 straight games.
Well, they have no one else. I mean, they have no one else taking them, right? And consistently making them, except Emmanuel Quickly. So I'm definitely good with Quickly. You know my thoughts, like, anyone that's listened to us since the Nembhard return, I've been very bullish on Nembhard, and, it's kind of for good reason. Like, this guy has been extremely ball dominant since he's returned. On the year, Nembhard has a 28% usage and over 1.1 fantasy points per minute. When you factor in the minutes without Matherin and the others, who some he hasn't even played with yet because he got hurt in that first game. But he's been in 3 blowouts. Like, we don't even know what the minutes could look like because he's lost out each and every day.
The closest game they played, he played 33, and they lost by 17 in that game.
And if you remember, they said he was going to be heavily monitored when he returned. Some monitor, like 33 minutes, good luck, sir. Like, last game he was in foul trouble early, lost out onto some fouls as well. So I think, like, I'm just going back to the well. If you made me rank them, Nembhard would be 1, Quickly 2, George 3, and Daniels 4. Not that I dislike any of them, but I think that's how I'd probably rank them in reverse as they're priced.
Yep. And then we kind of dump down to the value. Craig Porter Jr. and Jordan Goodwin, 2 guys at a pretty cheap price point. Obviously, Goodwin 35, Porter 33. Those are your top 4 in ownership, kind of bookending Daniels Booker there. Last night, Craig Porter Jr. broke the slate.
He did.
3,200, only 6% ownership because of all of the other value that kind of opened up. People gravitated to Ryan Rollins instead, with Giannis getting ruled out and some other pieces there. And the man went 7 of 12, opened the game 6 of 6, 7 blocks and steals, 19, 4, and 9, 52 fantasy points at $3,200, and now he is over 50% rostered for today. No Darius Garland in this game. No Lonzo Ball in this game. They do have Donnie Mitch back, however. Are you just plugging Porter for the value and the role, or do you think Goodwin has a better opportunity to outproduce him?
I'm just plugging Craig Porter. I think Jordan Goodwin's a little bit of fool's gold. And we had talked about it on the show last night. I was like, oh, Jordan Goodwin, big first half tonight. If you remember that, like, on the show, I was like, oh, he's playing. And I think you looked it up. You're like, yeah, like 12 points in 13 minutes or whatever. He played about 5 second half minutes. Like, if Jordan Goodwin doesn't score 12 first half points tonight, is he playing 13 first half minutes? Right. I'd bet no. So I'm a little out there. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad fantasy player, because he's not. He's a relatively good fantasy point per minute player. But I'm a little skeptical that if Jordan Goodwin doesn't come out guns blazing again tonight, he gets there for us. I'm not saying it's a bad play, but like,
games with 20 or more minutes,
Well, 23-point win in the first one.
Sure.
He closes in a blowout. And then the second game, he only plays 5 second half minutes. And again, he just ran incredibly hot in the first half. He has to do that again for him to get anywhere close to these minutes in a competitive game, which Indiana obviously hasn't been in them. But everything that Vegas is telling me leads me to believe it's a competitive game. Now, I think Phoenix is probably one of the better tournament teams on the board in general. So if you want to play Goodwin, it's fine. I don't think I would play Goodwin over Porter, though. If
any other point guards?
No, I'm not getting fooled by Isaiah Collier. That's fool's gold to me. Keaton Wallace is only playing in blowouts and when they're not healthy and they have NAW back. Shed overlapped a little bit. No, there's nothing.
All right. Donnie Mitch is $9,500. Obviously, we know his usage rates when he's kind of like the guy on the team. No Garland again tonight. Handles the ball a ton. Where are your thoughts with him this evening? He is obviously the highest spend up at this position, but not for ownership. NAW is getting a little bit more than him. Grayson Allen's kind of at the same range from ownership. So are you saving the money and playing some of this mid-tier, or are you plugging Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, and Jordan Goodwin technically has the most ownership at shooting guard. I think shooting guard's a tricky one, and honestly, could end up seeing more ownership on Mitchell than Booker, because I think shooting guard is so much worse of a position. You know, this game, for what it's worth, also has the highest implied total. Cleveland has the highest implied point total. Donovan Mitchell just sat because rest. He's not really coming off an injury. So, yeah, all systems go for like kind of low ownership with a guy who's down, you know, Darius Garland and Jalen Tyson. Yep. I really like the spot for Donovan Mitchell. And, you know, so yes, to Mitchell. I don't not much point Donnie. Sure. Yes. I think RJ is safe.
Okay.
Good. Like, we talk about like how someone in Toronto is typically going to let us down nightly. Also, you know, the numbers tell me RJ Barrett, 25% usage, second on the team, 1.1 fantasy points per minute, tied with Brandon Ingram, second on the team. Those things I can reliably look at, right? And he's going to play in a competitive game, mid-30s minutes. There's been a 36-minute ceiling as well. So I like RJ. I think he's very safe at the price. Grayson is interesting. We kind of poo-pooed him, or I did. I won't say you did. I was like, oh, he came back to earth. He had 3 points when we were recording, and then he ends with 23 and had a monster final stretch of the game. Dude, they're without, Jalen Green and Mark Williams. I was looking at some of the data where Mark Williams missed earlier in the year, and, they are also a team that will go small. You can go small against Indiana too, because we don't even know what Indiana's going to do in the front court. There's no guarantee Tony Bradley. We saw Tony Bradley get taken out of a game just because Anthony Davis didn't play, right? This is a Suns kind of mainstay with their lineup right now. I think, again, shooting out of his mind, but he is an elite shooter. That's kind of what he's been over the last few years. So
I was going to say, shooting out of his mind. I mean, the 10 of 15 game actually is really the only outlier there. The 4 for 9, 4 for 7, 4 for 9, 4 for 9, 5 for 9. The man is shooting 45+% from three, really, outside of that one game over the last 5 where he goes 10 of 15. I mean, he adding a couple of free throws. Maybe he starts getting to the line a little bit more, but like the rest of the numbers are kind of in lockstep for what he was doing.
Yep.
36, 35 fantasy points there. Obviously explodes for 61, then follows it up with 42. Like, he had another 40-point game, as you see there, against Utah on the 31st. So, like, very live just to be a guy that takes around 10 threes, but he's going to start shooting 45%. You're going to be sitting there with a pretty good number at the end of the day for Grayson Allen.
I agree. And I think Phoenix looks very good today. I mean, they have, I think, the second highest implied point total. They do. Second highest implied point total. Big pace-up spot. Indiana's bottom 10 defensively. Yeah, there's a lot to like. No Williams, no Green, obviously. Those are 2 high usage players. Without those players, 23 round up % usage, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. Those are good numbers. Good numbers.
Anything else here that you want to go down for value? I mean, NEW is 6,000, Merrill, and then again, some guys that are, not really doing it, but anything thoughts there?
NEW is very safe. He still leads the team without Kristaps Porzingis and Trae Young in usage rate, 27.6, over a fantasy point per minute. So yes, on NEW, I labeled him a cash game play, but if you want to play him in tournaments, definitely fine. I do think Svi, although like very low floor, is an option. We've gotten 30-point ceiling twice out of him recently. he's only once in his last 7 games played fewer than 26 or 27 minutes. They need his spacing. The same guys, except Kevin Love, he's the only addition to the rotation from the other day, are out again, like no Anderson, no Hendricks. So there's extra minutes to be had for Svi, and as long as he is making shots, he'll be on the floor. You don't need to go here, but just as a contrarian play, because again, everyone's playing Jordan Goodwin, and I get it. I'm not saying I don't. I understand the Goodwin play. But if you're just looking to differentiate from a guy that isn't guaranteed to play 23 minutes, that would be a direction I look at.
Small forward then. Brings us over to Ingram at $7,700. Obviously, Grayson Allen has the dual positional eligibility, so he carries his ownership over. DeAndre Hunter, who's limited yesterday, 67. Dylan Brooks and Aaron Nesmith to round out the 6K tier.
Ingram, another safe play. I mean, only once this year has he put up less than 32 fantasy points, and he's put up 37 or more in 6 of his last 7 overall. We've said it repeatedly, hasn't flashed a ceiling, but is also, small slate, a good raw points play, just with how many fantasy points he accrues.
Only getting 13, 14% right now too. So,
and I think it's largely because the upside, but I do think that there's raw points to be had. And I think there's also decent value plays here. Allen, obviously with the multi-position eligibility, I have no objection to DeAndre Hunter. I'm kind of if you end on DeAndre Hunter, sure, there's no Darius Garland. Look at the games he's played with and without people, right? He is just a bucket getter. Obviously, there's some peripheral stats that will come to a screeching halt with the Mobley, Allen, Mitchell return, or the other 3 surrounding him. But he is a bucket getter. I prefer some of the guys below DeAndre Hunter, though. I think Dylan Brooks is an amazing tournament play today. Nobody's clicking Dylan Brooks. And I think, I understand the perception of Dylan Brooks. He's not necessarily the most fun player. He's also 6,200. It's not the best price tag overall. But when you look at some of the stuff that Dylan Brooks has done this year, at least numbers related, when Jalen Green and Mark Williams are off the floor, 29% usage rate is second on the team. It's a small sample because he missed a bunch of time, but 29% usage, 1 fantasy point per minute. He played the most minutes he's played in last night since returning from the injury. I think there's a lot of things to like about Brooks with Williams and Green off the floor, and he's sub 10%. Everyone's going to play Royce O'Neal. I even said to you last night, I would rather play Royce O'Neal than Dylan Brooks for cheaper. And I kind of am walking that back. Dylan Brooks has just been the better fantasy player, I think, with more minute upside as well. Basically, since they've gotten healthier, Royce has been capped high 20s, where Brooks has now found himself in the 30s. So I think Dylan Brooks is a very interesting tournament play. Aaron Nesmith, also a very interesting tournament play. Aaron Nesmith was pacing he played 20 first half minutes last game, which played 12 in the second half because of the blowout. That's not always the same thing, right? I could tell you he was pacing for 40 and only plays 35, right, in a competitive game. But the likelihood of him playing closer to 40 was definitely there if he's playing 20 of 20 first half minutes. So I like Nesmith here in tournaments at 61, kind of in the same boat as Brooks. He's obviously getting more ownership than Dylan Brooks is. I do think Royce O'Neal is in play. I think he is a safe option. Zachary Richer is a very good tournament play. Very good numbers without Kristaps Porzingis and Trae Young this year. 25.5% usage. That's third on the team. 0.95 fantasy points per minute. Very solid. So I think Richer pushes for 30 minutes or so here. And then Ace Bailey, another one. He's going to play high 20s minutes. He's entered the starting lineup. The usage was way up last game from the Minnesota game.
Are you a little surprised that just based on the price, he's not the highest small forward roster today?
No, because the minutes, I still think people are a little scared of Will Hardy. I think when you look at the two guys getting the most ownership, it's multi-position eligible players as well.
Yeah.
So because like if he was a shooting guard today, he'd be the highest owned player because shooting guard stinks.
They took away the NAW point guard or shooting guard small forward or point guard small forward eligibility there too. So
they did. I like Ace Bailey quite a bit. So if his ownership is going to be a little suppressed, then yes, I think that's even more reason why you would click on him.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay. Power forward then. Up at the top, there's Siakam, there's Mobley, Barnes, and Johnson up over $8,000. Laurie, I guess, as well, up over $8,000. Jalen Johnson and Evan Mobley are the two guys getting the most ownership of the top spend-up guys.
Yeah, this is a spend-up position for me. We already mentioned a lot of the mid-tier, and then there's one interesting value name that we'll talk about. But this is a spend-up position. You can always play Pascal, another guy that was pacing for monster minutes and has already flashed big minute upside games, big upside in general. I just don't think I'm getting there, but obviously of like the spend ups, he is the guy getting the least amount of ownership. Jalen Johnson is the guy that I'm going to. We just had a question about
will he play?
He sat out the last two back-to-backs, so that's why that question is being asked. He's not on the injury report.
So they already ruled out Porzingis. So it feels like
doesn't mean they couldn't rule out Johnson.
Correct.
But it is like you would probably have seen it by now. The likely scenario is you probably would have seen it. It also doesn't hurt. He only had to play 24 minutes last night. Like I bet you if he plays 35, that is more possible.
What also helps being able to build lineups around him is that there's an automatic pivot to him. If he gets ruled out, you just play Laurie at 81 in your lineups. You plug him in there and he's not there.
Yeah. And that is a solid pivot. You will not have the Mobley Barnes one, but you can go to Laurie. Also, I guarantee you'll be able to do a 2-for-2 and you can move to Muhammad Gay as well, probably. Right? Like there's a very likely scenario that you're not stacking Toronto, Cleveland, and you'll have exposure elsewhere too.
Which we talked about last night kind of with these games too, is like given some of the injuries that some of these teams might be facing, leaving some flexibility in your lineup for the second games at 9 p.m. in case there are some guys that end up getting scratched or ruled out. But yeah, I mean, Johnson, like you said, if you think that there's a chance he doesn't play, at least there is a very obvious move down to market in there if you had no other way to go to it. So
I personally am operating as if he's going to play. We have not been given any reason other than he sat the last two back-to-backs, but he seems healthy. 26% usage, almost 1.4 fantasy points per minute without Trey and Porzingis this year. Also nearly triple-doubled in back-to-back games and the aggression on offense has been through the roof. So I love Jalen Johnson. Scotty and Mobley are your tournament plays here. Well, I think Mobley's safe. Scotty is absolutely a tournament play. Like, there has been a massive ceiling on Scotty. He's gone for 60 almost twice. He was in foul trouble each of the last couple games. That has kind of hurt him. So I love Scotty. I don't hate marketing in tournaments. You sounded a little lukewarm on him. It's a less than ideal spot because Atlanta's been so good defensively. It is worth mentioning no Porzingis doesn't help, and whatever he is, Jalen is the presumed defender, but like if it's matched up with any of the smaller guards, I mean the size discrepancy is massive. Like this is a 6'10" wing, right?
Absolutely not lukewarm on Laurie Marketing, by the way. I was just saying that if you play Jalen Johnson and you're worried that maybe he ends up getting late scratch or whatever, it's just a very obvious pivot down to $200 to Laurie Marketing, who's coming off of a 35-point actual.
Super high usage, just tougher spot. Can we go to Doug's comments right here real quick on Collier? I am definitely on the opposite side of your Collier take. I understand it more on FanDuel. 100%. I think 4,400 is fine. But if you're talking about like being like misrepresentative in like ownership and stuff, I disagree because you need context here. He's activated, he DMPs the first 2 games he plays. He starts, they lose by 40, and he closes in that game. In the second competitive game, they move Ace Bailey into the starting lineup. They move Collier back to the bench. He barely plays. And in this last game, we opened the show with talking about how many fouls Keontae George had that whole game. And then Collier just benefited tremendously from that, right? Like you look at some of these sub patterns, Collier closed both halves, like in a blow, like closed both, right? It's just kind of
if he's not in the starting lineup again,
good.
It's very difficult to know where he's going to be with minutes. So.
Yeah, and I have no reason to think it's 27 or 26. I'm not saying it won't be, but it's just hard. It's just very hard to tell, especially now that Ace Bailey's the presumed starter. It's kind of what Will Hardy has already said. So unless it's Svi is the next move, right? I kind of am not getting there, but I guess if you're looking for a pivot away from Porter or a pivot away from Goodwin, that would be an option at that price on FanDuel. So back to power forward. Laurie looks good in tournaments. We talked Brooks can't play Jarris Walker, especially if they're not going to start him. But we don't know what Indiana's going to do. We have no idea. Royce, we talked about, he's safe. I think Filipowski looks so much worse today than he did just with Kevin Love being back. I'm not saying the minutes are not going to be there, but is he gonna play ahead of Kevin Love as the backup center as well? I don't know. Kevin Love's been operating as the backup center, where Filipowski had that backup center and backup power forward the other day. Now he's just solely your backup power forward. I don't know. I don't love it as much. I'm probably not going to get there. I think the Muhammad Gay one is a little bit interesting because
obviously he broke the slate the other day when everybody was ruled out against the Lakers.
Well, there's context here, right? The 3 games that Kristaps Porzingis has missed, Muhammad, you can literally pick them out of a lineup here. 34, 30, 23 minutes. Those are the exact 3 games that Kristaps has missed. He's played those. He has played a lot. Now, there was people missing in every situation here. Yeah. In the Orlando game, Trae Young played. Ricochet didn't. They closed big. In the 10-25 game where he plays 23 minutes, Jalen Johnson doesn't play. And you just mentioned where everyone's out against the Lakers. So, like, every situation, there's been people out. But, John, no Trae Young, no Kristaps Porzingis tonight. So, people are out. So, like, I think it's safe to assume Muhammad Gay's probably in a 20-minute role at the minimum tonight. And, like, mid-20s is probably on the table as well. It's fine. He's getting a lot of ownership. I'm probably going to be lower than the field, that 31% ownership, but I do think that it's in, he's fine.
I have no problems getting there if he's going to play. I mean, it's a smaller slate. You look for upside plays. I mean, what else would you do down here? I mean,
no, there's no, this is you're spending up here or you're basically playing Muhammad Gay.
Yeah, that's kind of where I agree with you. I think Collier actually is a fine NBA player. Yeah. It's just, there's
the fit with Keontae stinks.
Yeah, it's not the right fit right now for him. We saw Collier play really well last year, on a team that when they decided to just not play all the veterans they didn't trade.
Let's not sleep on the 10th seeded Utah Jazz currently, if the season ended today, in the play-in tournament.
Sure. All right, center.
Center's interesting. Porzingis out, Williams out. Predictable. Yep. We knew that, right?
We talked about it on the previous show. Likely to happen, happened.
We knew it was going to happen. So I think Nurk is fine. I think that, he's a good fantasy point per minute guy. He's not a high usage player, but he can operate as a hub. He's good, obviously, in ball screens. He's good kind of everywhere. He just hasn't made shots. So, like, there is a higher ceiling for Nurkic, or there's a nice floor ceiling as long as games stay competitive for Nurkic. So I have absolutely no issue going there. Jared Allen, we saw last night, he has a very high ceiling, but there's two players that were omitted from last night's lineup that are no longer omitted from tonight's lineup. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they are good. Some would say very good.
Sure.
One of them averaging career high in points. So fine with it, but the minutes are obviously capped. The Cavaliers are closing small most nights with the Hunter Mobley front court. Could they go without Tyson available tonight? Could they, and Lonzo, could they elect to go bigger? Sure. Toronto plays fairly big with the Barnes Pirtle front court. So I don't hate Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen looks pretty good. Onyeka Okongwu is your chalk of the day.
Yeah.
And he should be
50% of the field playing him.
Yeah, I mean, again, another situation. You look at the 3 games Porzingis has set. 37 fantasy points, 38 fantasy points, 34 fantasy points, 32 minutes, 35 minutes, 33 minutes. Those are the minutes are up. The fantasy production's up. He's a 1.1 fantasy point per minute player. I think Okongwu is just as reliable as it gets. I think Jakob Poeltl is probably the sneakiest center of the day. Like, it's a tough spot, but Jakob Poeltl is the minutes have ramped up fast, right? Returned 20, 25, 30, lost out in a couple of minutes due to the blowout, like basically everyone on Toronto did the other day. So I think, there's even 3, 4, 5 extra minutes to be had, especially if Murray Boyles and or Mamu sit. We haven't had, I think, any confirmation on them yet on whether or not
7 p.m. start though, so we'll get it.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh shoot, I hit the 10:30 injury report. Toronto, Murray Boyles questionable. Jonathan Mobo is out, John.
Okay.
Does that make you think that one of them, Mobo on G League assignment, probably means one of them play? Because then they wouldn't have both of them said they would not have a backup center.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. It'd be interesting that they didn't have a backup center tonight.
Okay. Well,
it almost makes me lean like one of them will play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that probably tells me at least one of them play. I think Pirtle's incredibly interesting. The only other thing I'd mention as well is Indiana. Like, Isaiah Jackson is probably the guy in Indiana that you would want to play if you wanted to play any of them or you needed salary, just because he is the best fantasy player. Like, he might not start. We saw that the other night. Robinson Earl might start, or Jay Huff might start, or Tony Bradley might start, or Isaiah Jackson might start. Who knows? But if it's Isaiah Jackson, I don't hate it.
Is out. Mamu is in.
Okay, so like within seconds of us.
Just now, yeah.
Okay, well, there's a clear direction because they don't have Mobo with them either. So like the center minutes will be completely split. I think there's legit like 32, 33 minute upside for Jakob Poeltl tonight. What's Mamu's price? 4,000?
High fantasy point per minute guy.
I don't hate the punt, but
we just saw Jalen Smith against this Cleveland team give us a double-double in 19 minutes. So,
Well, Jalen Smith is a rare breed of player. Okay.
On a small slate, if you're really punting the position, I'd play a 4K set.
Like, does he look much different? I mean, Muhammad Gay's probably playing a few more minutes, but I don't
Jake
think
says Filipowski fits better at center. I know you mentioned the Kevin Love.
I think he does fit better at center, but I don't think he's going to play much of it.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say, would you rather play a Filipowski at 46, a Mamu at 4K, like a Gay at 41?
Probably Gay. I would probably rank Filipowski third at the price with how healthy they are in the front court.
Yeah. Anything else at center? So
Power?
Power?
Oh, no, this is brutal. I know. Power. Power said in the you saw it, I'm sure, in the comments. He said can't make the lives. Unfortunately for Power, he made the live, but he's gonna have to rewind because it's about to be over.
Accuracy saying you can't trust the NBA coaches. That's fair.
That's accurate.
Yeah, accurate.
Get it? Accuracy.
Steve's always in here. Dez, what's up, man? Happy to have you with us. No worries. Just Pharaoh, back to the show. Happy to have you with us here, man. Our guy Mark. The emojis don't show when we share, but a bunch of emojis. The emojis showed here.
That's interesting. Did Mark just type them?
I don't. It would
it put it past you for Mark to just type that out?
Mark would be typing the word emojis. All right, let's get a lineup going because I got to go do the NFL show in 20 minutes here. So my cat keeps eating cardboard. Stop.
That's that's healthy.
Yeah. Where do we want to start of this?
Craig Porter.
Porter, yeah.
Okongwu. Jalen.
We're just
get him out of the way right away.
Going for it. All right, Porter. Yeah. Jalen. Okongwu. Brooks.
I mean, it's contrarian. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I guess we didn't talk Phoenix Center. That's my bad.
Iguodala or Richard?
So I don't want to play either of them. Okay.
We looked at it the last time he sat out, right? Iguodala played the 20 whatever.
Iguodala played 24 minutes, but they got blown out, so we just didn't have like a sample. Richards played 8 minutes in that game. It was like the third game of the year or whatever.
Nick Richards is a super good fantasy point per minute guy.
If he were to start, it would be a great play.
At $3,200, 100%.
Yeah, that's our apologies, Doug. We're against the clock here. We have a show.
We did talk about it briefly on the preview show this morning, so it wasn't a total blind spot to us, but we did obviously just miss it.
Nick Richards this year without Williams and Jalen Green, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. The problem is he's just
getting 21% ownership too. So
yeah, it's just my guess is Iguodala starts because that's what they've done. That's what they did to start the year too, where they were just starting him. Even when Mark Williams was healthy, they were starting Iguodala.
Yeah.
So my guess would be Iguodala starts, Richards. And in that game, they did play Malawach in the first half. He played a blowout. It was the Denver game. He played some blowout, but he got like a shift in the first half too. I don't personally want to deal anything with a 3 center rotation.
That's the grossest 3 you have to figure it out.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I just don't know if you need to do. There's not a 10K play on tonight's slate. Like If Nick Richards starts, that's your guy.
You play Richards, and then if he doesn't start, you just pivot to Iguodala for $100 cheaper, right?
Yeah, but I don't. But that's gross. Like I don't want to play.
I agree, but if you're building your lineup that way and you're just choosing to pick the starter, that's what you do.
I think you would have to, in that situation, have a 2v2.
Just paying for Gay, yeah. Just play for Gay.
But at that price, like you can figure out a 2v2. Just have a 2v2 ready. If Iguodala is the starter. Like, can Nick Richards score you 20 fantasy points in 12 minutes? He could. But, like, if he's not starting, there's just no guaranteeing what the minutes look like.
Sure. How's this look?
Porter, Mitchell, Bailey, Johnson, Okongwu. Perfect.
Okay. Guys, a lot of new names I feel like I've seen in the chat. So if you're not yet familiar, we put the full lineup in the Discord. So we do a core build for you guys. We're going to leave the guard, forward, and utility spots for our Discord. Discord is free to join. The link to the Discord's in the description. You can also go to fantasystime.com, sign up for a free account, and in your profile page, there'll be a connect button. You can join there. Grind and I do preview shows each and every night. That comes out around 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. previewing the next day's show, and we go live every day here, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we certainly appreciate all the new support. Go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Good way to help us out there. Anthony, safe to stack Ball, Mobley, and Allen? Nope. Can't stack
Well, Lonzo. Well, you can't play Lonzo. He's not playing tonight.
Lonzo's out, Anthony.
Don't play Lonzo.
So can't do that. Play Porter. Can play Porter. Can't play Ball.
Yep.
He probably meant Porter, but hyped out Ball. If I had to get it.
Probably
yes,
accurate. Yeah.
All right. So guys, here's the lineup for the core build. Again, full lineup will be in that Discord. Make sure you check out the preview show when it gets released tonight, and we'll see you live tomorrow at 5 p.m.